The girl was silent. Her father was screaming at her. Her mother just stood there and watched. She couldn't say anything else but "That's enough now, Dennis." Her daughter looked at her with tears in her eyes. Her lips were trembling in fear. She knew that she needed to speak up, but she couldn't bring herself to say a word. Lisa Hayworth was just a regular teenager from Mississippi. She was in high school and she wasn't the brightest girl, but she made an effort. She wasn't popular either. In fact, she rarely talked to anybody and never left the house without adult supervision, which is what makes her incident even harder to believe. One day she felt sick at school. She ran to the bathroom and threw up in one of the stalls. She asked to go home and went straight to the drugstore. She had to find out. She searched the aisles looking for the right brand and found a pregnancy test that made sense. The young girl knew that she had made a mistake, but she had to be responsible about it. Lisa was just 15 years old when she discovered she was pregnant. Her boyfriend, Max, was 16 and they were both still in high school. They were not interested in completing school and didn't seem to have any real plans for their future. How would she tell Max the truth? Their first time together ended up having huge consequences, a whole, real-life baby. Lisa was terrified when she found out she was pregnant. How would she tell her parents? Although she was stressed about it, she knew that the best thing to do was tell the truth. She wanted to take responsibility for her actions. Her mother, Gina, was a kind woman. She hoped that she would be understanding. But how was she going to break the news to them? They would be so disappointed in her. Lisa decided to tell Max first. Maybe he would have a plan. The teenage couple met after school and Lisa told him, "Max, I'm pregnant." The boy's eyes widened in shock. What? He mumbled. Lisa burst into tears. "What are we going to do, Max?" Max bent down and put his arms around his girlfriend. "Don't worry, we'll get through this together," he said. Lisa looked up at him and said, "Are you sure?" The young man just held her tight. Lisa was having a hard time hiding her bump. She tried to wear baggy clothing, but she couldn't hide it. She had a feeling that her mother knew something was up. She was acting strange. Just then, her mother walked into the room. She looked worried. "Hi, girl, how are you doing?" She was trying to be nice. Lisa just smiled and continued putting her clothes away. "I did the laundry. Is everything okay with you?" her mother asked. Lisa was confused. She wondered what her mother meant. She cleared her throat. "I'm fine, Mom." Her mother looked at her. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right? Any lady issues or anything?" Lisa looked confused. "I'm fine, Mom. I'm just on my period." "Oh, all right then, I see." Her mom looked despondent as she left the room. Lisa was panicking. The young girl checked her newly washed and folded laundry. Did she leave something behind? Nothing. She checked her underwear and realized what her mother was talking about. There were faint brown stains on her underwear. She didn't know exactly what it was, but it wasn't her period. She lied to her mother. Lisa couldn't handle the secrets anymore and thought about how she was going to tell her mother. She didn't want to have a baby alone. She needed her mother. She knew her father, Dennis Hayworth, the police commissioner, would be extremely embarrassed by her actions. But as the days went on, she knew that she was running out of time. The next day, Lisa decided to speak to her parents after dinner. They sat in silence. Her father was a very strict man. As her mother cleared the plates, she said, "Mom, can I speak to you?" "Sure, honey," her mom replied. Her father looked up from his plate. He eyed his daughter. Lisa continued, "I didn't really know what I was doing then." She burst into tears. Her father looked concerned. "Are you okay, Lisa? Did somebody hurt you?" He was a good person, and even though he was her stepfather, he cared for Lisa deeply. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "We made a mistake." Her mother sat next to her. "Who, darling?" She tried to find out what her daughter was talking about. Lisa sobbed. "Me and Mac's mom, I made a mistake, Mom. I'm pregnant." Gina's eyes widened at what her daughter just said. Gina couldn't believe it. She grabbed her daughter's shoulders. "How do you even know how to do that?" Dennis pushed his chair back in anger. "Who did this to you? Max, you say? Well, I never." He stormed out of the room. Lisa was crying hysterically and she couldn't stop. She had just ruined her family. Gina tried to talk some sense into her daughter. She kept apologizing, but it wasn't enough for the distraught mother. She felt like she had failed as a parent. "You should have known better, girl." "What? Did he force you?" "No, Mom, it was nothing like that. I love him," she pleaded with her mother. "What do you know about love, Lisa? You're only 15 years old." Lisa looked guilty. "It's your birthday in a couple of months. Some sweet 16 you're going to have." But Lisa cried and ran away to her room. Her mother screamed after her, "What do you expect of me? Who is going to pay for everything? Do you know how expensive a baby is?" Angry, Lisa slammed her door shut. She thought her mother would understand, but she didn't. She was wrong. She was alone. Her family hated her. There was silence in the house after that. Nobody came to talk to her. She spent the night crying into her pillow. Tomorrow morning was going to be a horrid day. She was dreading confronting her parents at breakfast. She knew that they were going to have 100 questions for her. What else could she do? Run away? The next morning, Lisa got dressed and sat at the breakfast table. Her parents were already eating. They didn't even look up at her. She couldn't stand it. "Say something," she said. "Please, Mom?" "Dad?" Her father didn't move his eyes from his plate. Her mother acted like she couldn't hear her. "Mom?" "Dad," she cried. "I'm your daughter," she sobbed. Her father looked angry, but his eyes didn't move. He scraped his chair back. He looked at his daughter and said, "I expected better from you, Lisa." His voice was stern, but Lisa could feel the pain in his voice. Lisa looked at him. Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Dad." Her father just looked at her with disgust and said, "I can't even look at you right now." Lisa burst out again. "You don't love me." Her father just walked away. "How can he treat me this way?" she cried to her mother. "Well, my child, we tried our best. I'll take you to the doctor when I can, okay?" Lisa shook her head. Now, all of a sudden, her mother was being nice. Gina looked at her daughter. "Lisa, you have to understand that nobody else can know about this. Your father cannot risk any bad publicity or negative comments. Do you understand?" Lisa was crushed. They didn't care about her. They just cared about their image. She knew it. As much as she knew her parents couldn't handle her, she couldn't handle them either. "A stepfather, don't worry, Mom. I won't ruin your reputation, okay?" Her mother batted her eyelashes. "Watch it, Lisa. You don't want to get on his wrong side. He has done a lot for us." She always took his side. Lisa was a mess inside and out. She didn't care about anything. Even though Max said he would be there for her, he wasn't. He was avoiding her at school and pretending like he was busy. Lisa was hurt. She knew that he didn't tell his parents yet either. "Why are all guys such jerks?" she asked her friend Kaylee. Kaylee was the only other person Lisa told. She made Kaylee promise that she would keep her secret and not tell a soul. Kaylee was a good friend of Lisa since they started the 8th grade together, but Lisa suspected that Kaylee secretly had a crush on Max. But she would always laugh and giggle in front of him. She was quite loud, but she was Lisa's only friend, so she put up with it. There was nothing she could do because Kaylee was rich and spoiled. Things at home were not getting any better for the teen. Her father had grown cold and distant toward her. One day he said, "I want you to drop out of school." He was serious. Lisa was shocked. How could her father not want her to have an education? "Dad, you can't be serious." Her father looked embarrassed. "I'm serious. You're starting to show, and I don't want any questions. Listen, or I'll send you away." Lisa was stressed out. Her father had been pestering her to quit school. She didn't know what to do. She wondered if her mother knew and decided to speak to her about it later that day. When she got home, her mother beat her to it. "Lisa, what's going on?" Lisa looked confused. "Why are you having an attitude with Dennis? I spoke to you about this." "I didn't do anything, Mom, it's him," she replied. Gina screamed at her daughter, "Don't lie. I heard you screaming at him yesterday in your room." Lisa couldn't stand the lies any longer and spoke up. "It was him, not me, I swear." She took her mother's hands and placed them on her stomach. "I promise, Mom, I swear on my child, believe me." Gina burst into tears and hugged her for close. Lisa was experiencing a lot of discomfort and wanted to see a gynecologist. She didn't have any money and her father was still ignoring her, even though she had been home for the past week. What was the point of arguing with her when her mother thought that she was a liar anyway? In the months leading up to her pregnancy, her father had refused to take her for checkups, treating her badly and not offering any support. Lisa didn't know how to tell her mother how badly her stepfather was treating her. She didn't know what else to do. She was stuck. That night at dinner, they sat quietly at the table. Her father now ate in the lounge. Her mother looked agitated, like she needed to say something, but she was afraid. Gina cleared her throat and placed a phone on the table. She played a video recording. "Look at this," she said. Her husband's attention was drawn to the sound of his own angry voice. He was shouting and swearing at Lisa. Her mother had left a hidden camera in the room and recorded the truth about her stepfather's behavior. Lisa couldn't believe it. Her mother was like a secret spy. Finally, she took her daughter's side and found out the truth. Dennis was speechless. He couldn't defend himself. "What is this, Gina?" her father said and hit the phone off the table. The video kept playing all the profanities he used against Lisa. Gina laughed. "It's the truth. How dare you speak to my daughter that way?" "It's not what it looks like," he stammered. Lisa's mother, Sandra, was also angry with her for getting pregnant, but she tried to protect her daughter from her father's wrath. She saw her daughter becoming depressed and withdrawn, not talking and only crying. She wouldn't even shower or take care of herself. As the months passed, Sandra tried to convince Dennis to take care of Lisa. She even requested that he drive her to the hospital when she went into labor, but he refused. He was too ashamed of what his daughter had done and couldn't face the embarrassment. Gina held her daughter and said, "Don't worry, I will take you myself."